Alrighty, so the final two playoff matchup in the first round of this season's playoff will be playing tomorrow. And what's going to be difficult about tomorrow is the fact that I know I'm not going to be watching this game live because I have to work tomorrow. In fact, I was called today that I have to do overtime tomorrow, where I'm going to have to work 10 hours tomorrow. So by the time I did get home, I think it will be around 8 o'clock. So I'll probably miss like the first 30 minutes of this game. But I know for sure that I'm not gonna be able to watch this. And I actually just recently bought Fubo TV back because I want to watch some of these games, not just on the condensed highlights, but also kind of watch it on the DVR because these playoff matchup, it's much more important to watch it full than actually watch it in the condensed highlights. And of course, it gives me a chance to do a more detailed kind of review. So yeah, I'm basically going to just kind of let you know that I won't be watching this live. Though I think what I'll also do is I'll basically do the review of this game, and then on Wednesday I'll probably do the review of this game once I finish watching this one on the DVR. I mean, technically I could actually not only watch this game but also watch this on the DVR at the same time, but I kind of feel like I should just maybe watch one game at a time, especially again, I want to be very detailed in terms of review and talk about what has happened throughout these playoff games. Now, that being said, let us actually get to the game that I will watch later on the DVR, which is Nashville SC versus Orlando City. And also, by the way, both of these games is going to be on FS1. This one, of course, will start at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 7:08 p.m. local time. Nashville, of course, finished third in the East with a record of 12-18-4 with 54 points, while Orlando, they finished the season 6 in the Eastern Conference with a record of 13-12-9 with 51 points. So not much separate between both of these teams, despite the fact that in terms of the seeding, it's a little bit far apart. That just shows you how the East was just so tight this season. Top goal scored for Nashville, unsurprisingly, Hani Mukhtar, who is definitely getting some recognition of potentially being an MVP in this league. In fact, I think he's one of the finalists in terms of winning the MVP award. He scored 16 goals this season, followed by CJ Sapon, certainly having one of his best year this in his career with 12 goals, followed by Randall Leal with 8 goals. Then you got Alex Mule with 3 goals and Walker Zimmerman with 3 goals. For Orlando City, unsurprisingly, Nani and DK leads the team with 10 goals apiece. Then you got Junior Urso with 4 goals, Benji Michelle with 4 goals, and Tesha Akintelli with 3 goals. Now, last 5 head-to-head matchup, well, it's been draws in terms of the 4 out of the last 5 matchup where, it was a 1-1 draw between both of these teams the last time they met. It was a 2-2 draw between both of these teams. Then it was a 1-1 draw between both of these teams. Nashville then win 3-2 against Orlando City. Oh, that was the game when I remember that was like on decision day where Orlando looked like they were going to win that game, and then Nashville scored 2 late goals to basically steal that one on the final day of the season. And then, of course, Nashville, of course, drew 1-1 against Orlando City. And the key points coming into this game, well, the first big key points coming into this game is how the pitch quality is going to look at Nissan Stadium. Because I know they did have a football game yesterday, and I also heard that because it was raining hard yesterday in Nashville and the pitch quality was very bad in that game between the Titans and the Texans. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see how the grounds crew, I'm assuming the grounds crew are working hard at Nissan Stadium in terms of fixing the pitch, but don't be surprised if the pitch is going to be an absolute mess, especially after not just a football game, but a football game that is playing in the rain. It does get really hard to try for them to, of course, fix it. But again, the good news for Nashville is that this is really potentially be the last time they could be facing this issue. I mean, if they get eliminated, this will be the last game they play at Nissan Stadium, as it was announced that they will be able to opening their brand new stadium as soon as April. In fact, the season opener for every single team was actually announced today, and Nashville is actually playing their first home game in their brand new stadium in May. So again, this could potentially be the last time they have to face this situation, or this also could be the last time they're going to be playing at Nissan Stadium as their temporary stadium. Now, the other thing that I will say about Nashville is that can they rely on somebody else to score the goals besides Hani Mukhtar? I mean, Hani Mukhtar has really been the most consistent goal scorer for this team and have really lived up to that DP tag that he's been carrying. But the problem is with this Nashville team is that he's the only guy that's been contributing the goals, at least down the stretch, and it's no wonder why Nashville is starting to have that same issue that they had in the first season, where they just really don't have a lot of goals scored that can contribute in terms of the goal scoring department. Now, for Orlando City, do they have enough on the attack themselves to become the first road team to win in the playoffs? And keep in mind, for the first 4 playoff game, the road team has not fared well. I mean, it's been all L's for all 4 of these road team getting eliminated, and there could be a case that maybe we could see a sweep if Orlando does not win against Nashville, because as I'll talk about in the next game, I don't think there is a lot of case that you could say RSL might be the first road team to be able to move on into the next round against a team that hasn't lost at home in the last 13 home match. So, for Orlando, it's kind of like they're the last hope for all these road teams to potentially move on into the next round. And like I said, this was a very popular upset pick because, again, Nashville hasn't really been in the best of form lately, and that when you do head into the playoff cold, then that could be a bit of an issue. But we shall see if that is going to be the case. And I also won't be surprised this might be another game that could go into extra time. I mean, Nashville has played so many draws this season, and knowing the fact that 4 of the last 5 match between both of these teams ends up in a draw, don't be surprised this might go to extra time. And that don't also be surprised that this might not be the most entertaining and a high scoring game so far. I mean, so far, in terms of the great action we have seen in the playoffs, it has kind of came in the Western Conference. Like, the goals has been what we saw have been mostly come in the West, whereas in the East there hasn't really been a lot of goals that's been scored in the playoffs. And this is a game where it's between 2 teams that hasn't really been lighting up on the attacking end. Don't be surprised this could be something similar. Well, I wouldn't say something similar to the Union versus Red Bulls game, because that was just in a way where I knew it was going to be a tight game. But even then, I know there was a lot of people complaining of the fact that it was just almost like a bore fest for 120 minutes. But for this one, I expect this one might be something similar to that, but it's not going to be at least a bore fest in that. At least I think we're going to see some goals before we do head to extra time, likely in this game. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Seattle Sounders versus RSL. So if you want to know which matchup is kind of like the most mismatch in the first round of the playoffs, a lot of people will point this out, because I know a lot of people are picking the Sounders as heavy favorites coming in to this game. But the old saying goes, that's why you play the game and see how sometimes even the team that was heavy favorites coming into the game, they might actually not able to make it out of the playoffs. Now, that being said, they are playing against an RSL team that I think they're probably very happy the fact that they're here, or should I say they're probably happy that they're just here, with the way that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a last second Demir Krylak goal, and also maybe if VAR was actually competent in that game against Sporting KC. But nevertheless, they finished the season in 7th in the West with a record of 14-6-14 with 48 points, while Seattle finished the season 2nd place in the Western Conference, unsurprisingly, with a record of 17-9-8 and 60 points. For the Sounders, top goal scorer, you got Raul Ruidiaz, who I believe he finished 3rd in the Golden Boot race with 17 goals, followed by Freddie Montero with 7 goals. Then you got Christian Roldan with 6 goals, Jimmy Majano with 4 goals, and Nicolas Benazet with 3 goals. For RSL, Demir Krylak finished the season with 16 goals, which I believe that's his career high, because I don't think he'd ever scored that many goals in his career with RSL. Followed by Albert Rushnet with 11 goals. Then you got Anderson Julio with 8 goals, Rubio Rubin with 8 goals, and Michael Chang with 2 goals. Last 5 head-to-head matchup between both of these teams. Well, last time both of these teams met, RSL was able to get the victory. Now, albeit it was against a relatively weak Sounders team, as they won 1-0 at home. But the prior meeting, it was a 2-1 win that the Sounders had against RSL before another 2-1 win against RSL at home. Then it was a 2-2 draw between both of these teams, and then Seattle winning 2-0 against RSL. In fact, Seattle pretty much has dominated this series when this this series is taking place at Lumen's Field. The last time that RSL was able to get a road win against Seattle was all the way back in 2018. So yeah, this is not a place that RSL really fare very, very well, and it doesn't help the fact that Seattle, as I mentioned, they have not lost a home playoff game. I think it's now 14 game. They have won in a row when they do play a playoff game at home. Key points coming into this game. Well, the first key points for the Sounders is how many attacking players will be 100% fit for the Sounders. I mean, we know the Sounders down the stretch, they were definitely not in a very good form, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that when you're missing the likes of Rui Diaz, Ladero, and just getting Jordan Morris back healthy, you're going to have that kind of situation. And we'll see whether when those players does get back into the team, and I expect that's going to be the case. I expect that they should be just fine, but we'll see how the starting 11 is going to be for Brian Schmetzer tomorrow. And then, of course, the second key points coming in this game is what kind of RSL will show up in this game. Or I think a better question to ask about RSL is what exactly is Pablo Mastroianni's tactics coming into this game. Is he going to be just completely reckless in this game and decide to open it up and play a very crazy game, or the fact that he's going to try to put a bit of a snooze fest like the one that he had against Sporting KC and trying to kind of maybe bunker against the Seattle team that, at times they do have, this Sounders team does have times in terms of struggling against teams that do bunker against them. So, and for me, if I was Pablo Mastroianni, I would choose the second option to just kind of bunker. I mean, yes, in theory, they probably shouldn't play that way because they love to open up. I mean, heck, they have a lot of good attacking talent in this team, and that, believe it or not, this is also one of the highest scoring team in the league this season. But a lot of reason why they're one of the highest scoring team this season is because they love to open themselves up and literally like to play it with a high line every single game and trying to score as much goals as possible and play that entertaining brands of soccer. But that brands of soccer also have a consequences because they just don't have the defender to cope with it, and hence that's why you've seen some RSL game this season has been like 4-3 or 3-3 and these kind of crazy kind of score line. But the other thing that is also a key point coming in this game is that are we gonna see more Damir Kreilach magic in the playoffs? We know that he is gonna be the most important player for RSL in this playoff game, but we also seen that he has created some amazing magic for this RSL team. I mean, I will never forget his karate kick goal that he scored against LAFC, and we'll see whether or not if he can maybe add another signature moment that he had with this team in the playoffs. And in general, for RSL, if they do want to kind of open themselves up in this game, boy oh boy, this should be a very entertaining game for neutral. Like, this could be something similar to what we saw in the game between the Sounders and Dallas a couple of years ago. Remember how the Dallas also kind of opened themselves a little bit and really were kind of being reckless to try to go at this Seattle team, and even though they weren't able to win in the end, it was such an entertaining kind of game, and there could be a case that this could be the same thing, because again, it seems like a lot of these Western Conference playoff game tends to be much more exciting, and teams tends to go at it more than what we see in the Eastern Conference, where a lot of these Eastern Conference teams tends to play a very conservative style where they don't want to concede the first goal and they don't really want to go all out attack in at least for the first part of this game. So yeah, we'll see how this game, of course, will turn out. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these two games. And as always, let me know in the comments below your prediction of who will be the last two team that's going to be moving on into the second round of the playoffs. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.